I'll never forget the day a 74-year-old man walked into my office, his hands trembling not from any disease, but from something far more common and far quieter. He looked me in the eye and said, "Doc, I didn't know I was hurting myself." For years, he'd been doing what millions of men do in private, never realizing the silent damage it was causing. And he's not alone. I'm Dr. John Smith, a urologist and men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience, helping older guys protect their vitality, intimacy, and dignity. I'm here to tell you what most doctors won't after 60 masturbation changes. If you don't adapt, it can quietly affect your body, your mind, and even your manhood. You've been told it's a natural, harmless, even healthy. But what if I told you that how you do it matters more than you think? In this video, I'll share 5 critical masturbation secrets older men wish they'd known sooner, truths that can preserve your circulation, protect your prostate, and reignite your confidence. And stick with me until the end, because the final secret could change how you age, connect, and live for years to come. This conversation might be overdue, but it's never too late. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss an honest age-specific health tip made just for guys like you. And if this topic speaks to you, drop a 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0 so I can serve you better. Let's dive in with the first truth, one that's quietly reshaped the lives of so many men once they finally got it. Secret 1. Your erection doesn't define you as a man. I'll always remember the moment a 72-year-old man named Jim, a retired banker, sat across from me, his eyes heavy with frustration and a touch of shame. He said, "Doc, I can't do what I used to." Does that mean I'm not a man anymore? That question hit me hard because I've heard it from so many guys who come into my office quietly panicking about changes they weren't prepared for. They notice things aren't as firm, fast, or reliable as they used to be, and too many think it's the end of their sexuality. But here's the truth. I wish every man over 60 knew sooner your erection isn't the whole story. It's not failure, it's evolution. As you age, your body changes naturally. Blood flow slows, testosterone levels shift, and nerves take their time. What used to be automatic now needs patience and intention. But that doesn't mean your sexuality is broken. In fact, it can become more meaningful than ever when you stop measuring it by hardness alone. The world you grew up in celebrated performance, tied masculinity to stamina, and rarely made room for vulnerability. Nobody pulled you aside and said, "Hey, pleasure still matters. Connection still matters. And you don't need a rock-hard erection to have either." I've had patients who spent years thinking they were defective when all they needed was a new understanding of their evolving body. Many didn't know orgasm and erection aren't the same thing. You can still feel deep release, emotional intimacy, and physical satisfaction without the full response you had at 25. Because no one taught us this, so many men suffer in silence, believing they've lost something that's still there, just different. What matters now isn't performance, it's presence. Not pressure, but permission. When you stop chasing what was and start exploring what is, you open the door to a new kind of intimacy rooted in patience, curiosity, and self-respect. This secret is a game changer. I've seen lives transform when men realize they're still whole, still worthy, still capable of pleasure, even if the path looks different. If this resonates, drop a 1 in the comments. Now let's move to the second secret, one that goes even deeper. Secret 2. Masturbation isn't just physical, it's a tool for mental and emotional health. Not long ago, I sat down with Bill, a 70-year-old retired Navy sailor. He didn't come in for a medical emergency, but because of a feeling he described as empty. He said, "Doc, I don't feel anything anymore, not just in that way, but in general." As we talked, it became clear his masturbation habit wasn't about desire. It was his way of coping with sadness and loneliness after his wife passed away. That moment changed how I saw him and how he saw himself. This is a truth I wish every man over 60 knew sooner. Masturbation in your 60s and beyond isn't just about physical release. It's tied to your brain, your emotions, your nervous system. When you reach orgasm, your body releases powerful chemicals, dopamine to boost motivation, serotonin to lift your mood, oxytocin to ease stress. These help you sleep better, feel less anxious, and stay connected, especially if you're living alone. But when you do it mindlessly, like a way to kill time or escape feelings, it can become an empty routine with no real benefit. That's what happened to Bill. He kept the habit, but its meaning faded. We were raised to be tough, to bury emotions, to think feeling deeply makes us weak. But when the only time you let go is in private during a moment of self-touch, that act becomes more than physical, it's a lifeline. Yet most men don't see it that way. They think they're just holding on to a youthful habit. The danger's doing it without awareness. If you're turning to masturbation to pass time or avoid emotions you haven't named, you might lose the ability to connect deeply with yourself. But when you approach it with focus, with presence, it becomes healing, a way to find emotional clarity and mental health. If this is hitting home, drop a 1 in the comments. Let's keep going with the third secret one that might explain changes in your body nobody warned you about. Secret 3. The use it or lose it rule is real. I still remember Tom, a 74-year-old retired railroad worker, walking into my office looking ashamed. He'd just started dating again after over a decade alone, but he said, "Doc, I found someone special, but my body doesn't work anymore." His voice carried a pain like he thought he was broken for good. He figured it was just age, that it was all over. But here's the truth. I wish every man over 60 understood sooner. It's not about being broken, it's about not using it. The use it or lose it rule is real, and it applies to your body just like it does to any muscle. If you stop sexual stimulation for a long time, the tissues and blood vessels in your penis start to weaken, nerves lose sensitivity, elasticity fades, circulation slows. A study from Boston University found that men over 60 who maintained regular sexual activity even through masturbation had 25% better erectile function than those who stopped completely. Tom hadn't touched himself in years, not because he didn't want to, but because he thought it didn't matter anymore. Life had dulled his desire, and he let it go, assuming it was just aging. But his body had quietly adapted to that neglect, closing doors that could have stayed open with a little attention. The good news: it's never too late. With gentle, regular stimulation, no pressure, just presence. Tom started feeling his body respond again. It wasn't instant, but slowly his body remembered, and with it a piece of his confidence came back. So many older men think that without a partner, their sexual health isn't worth maintaining. That belief isn't just wrong, it's harmful. Masturbation at this stage isn't just about pleasure, it's about keeping your systems active, your tissues healthy, and your body connected to a simple but powerful truth. You still matter, and your body still wants to respond if you give it a chance. If this secret's making you think, drop a 1 in the comments. Now let's move to the fourth secret one that reveals a hidden habit reshaping your desire without you even noticing. Secret 4. Porn might be dulling your sexual sensitivity without you knowing. One evening I talked with Carl, a 68-year-old retired insurance agent. He shared with a look of confusion, "Doc, I still touch myself, but it's like nothing really reaches me anymore." At first he thought it was just aging, but as we dug deeper, the truth came out. His nightly routine of watching porn, something he turned to for comfort, was quietly stealing his ability to feel in real life. This is a secret so many older men wish they'd known sooner. As your brain ages, it gets less flexible. If you've been relying on porn as your main source of stimulation for years, it can rewire your brain to crave high-intensity, fast-reward input at the cost of real intimacy. Porn floods your brain with dopamine, the reward chemical. Over time, it trains your system to only respond to extreme visuals and constant novelty. Before you know it, touch from a real person, or even yourself, feels flat, distant, not enough. A 2021 study in the Journal of Sexual Psychology found that men over 60 who regularly use porn had a 30% higher risk of erectile dysfunction due to this dependency. The danger is how gradual it is. You don't notice at first. It feels like comfort. Carl described it like standing in a room full of light, but with no way out. He could see, but he couldn't connect. We worked together to ease him off that reliance, not with judgment, but with patience. Within weeks, he started feeling sensations again. His sensitivity came back. His imagination sparked. All because he stepped away from the screen and reconnected with his body, his breath, his inner world. If I'd known sooner, he said, I wouldn't have lost those years. If this secret's got you thinking, drop a 1 in the comments. Now let's get to the final secret one that ties it all together. Secret 5. Masturbation is self-care, not something to be ashamed of. During a routine checkup, Henry, a 75-year-old retired carpenter, sat across from me, hesitating before asking, Dr. Smith, is it still okay to touch myself at my age? That question stopped me in my tracks, not because it was unusual, but because I'd heard it so many times, always tinged with embarrassment, like he was confessing something wrong. But what Henry didn't know, and what I wish every older man understood sooner, is that masturbation isn't something to hide. At your age, it might be one of the most important acts of self-care you've got. Masturbation done with focus and respect isn't just about sexual satisfaction. It keeps your pelvic tissues healthy by boosting blood flow, helps your prostate by clearing out fluids that can build up, and releases oxytocin, easing anxiety, improving sleep, and lifting your mood. A Harvard study found that men who ejaculated 21 times a month had a significantly lower risk of prostate cancer compared to those who didn't. But beyond the physical benefits, it does something deeper. It keeps you connected to the part of you that still feels desire, still holds identity, still wants to feel alive. After Henry's wife passed, he shut everything down, thinking that chapter of his life was over. For nearly 6 years, he hadn't allowed himself a single moment of pleasure, believing it was inappropriate. That stuck with me because I've heard that echo from so many others. We live in a society that tells older men to fade out, to shrink, to stop feeling. But that's a cruel myth. Desire doesn't vanish. It just gets quieter. When Henry started reconnecting with himself gently without pressure, his mood lifted. He slept better. He smiled more. He wasn't chasing youth, he was reclaiming his dignity. Drop a 1 in the comments if this is resonating. Now let's tie it all together. Conclusion: redefining sexual health and identity. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you not just for listening, but for having the courage to face a topic most men your age were never given permission to talk about. That takes a rare kind of strength rooted in understanding, not denial. I'm Dr. John Smith, and in over 30 years of working with men like you, I've seen that these secrets aren't just medical advice. They're hard-earned truths from real lives, real regrets, real awakenings. We started by shattering the myth that your erection defines your manhood. We explored how masturbation isn't just physical, it's mental, emotional, deeply human. You saw how not using it can make your body forget what it once knew, but with patience it can remember. We talked about how porn can dull your connection to real intimacy. And finally, we learned that masturbation isn't shame. It's self-care, a way to stay connected to your body, your identity, your sense of being alive. I've met countless men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, who said, I thought this part of my life was over. They believed they had nothing left to feel, nothing left to give. But after decades in this field, I can tell you, desire doesn't retire. It softens, it shifts, but it never disappears. When you meet your body where it is not where it used to be, you discover something powerful. You're still a man. You're still whole. You're still deserving. So wherever you are, single, partnered, active, or just starting again, I hope these 5 truths help you reclaim what was never lost, just waiting to be rediscovered. Your age doesn't disqualify you from feeling touching or healing. In fact, it's exactly why you need to start now. If this spoke to you even a little, leave a comment below and tell me which secret hit home the most. And if you're ready to keep learning, growing, and reclaiming your health with dignity, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I share honest, practical guidance for men over 60 because your story still matters. You're not invisible. You're not done. There's so much life, connection, and vitality ahead if you're willing to reach for it. If this reminded you of someone who needs to hear it, share it with them. You never know the difference it could make. Let's keep breaking the silence together. You deserve the truth, you deserve support, and most of all, you deserve to feel alive again.